Hello, everyone. Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon to everyone joining from the United States, from Europe, or from Middle East, or essentially from any location that you are connecting from. My name is Anton, and I will be your host for today's session. Thank you very much for joining. I'm sure that we're gonna have covered a lot of cool stuff today, and my belief is that they are super valuable for your businesses and for your companies. At Yalantis, we help businesses to bridge technology leadership and tech talent gaps with modern technology and software development practice. So you can scale, you can innovate, and you can monetize your products and solutions. Today, our webinar is dedicated to building a data strategy and how to apply AI to power smarter trade promotions for FMCG and manufacturing industries. In other words, how to switch from spreadsheets to AI-optimized promo and increase sales with automated workflows. I will present the high-level overview and outputs of a few researches that we made ourselves at Yalantis. And then we will switch to our concepts that we prepared, and that should be an answer for how FMCG leaders can or could utilize data they have collected within years of running their operations into bringing some value out of data, essentially monetizing those data sources. So unless there are some additional questions, by the way, if you have some, please feel free to use chat and post some there. We'll be happy to respond them right away or in the later part of our meeting. Then I'm sharing my screen. Hopefully you can see it now. I have my deck and we can get started. All right, so as I mentioned, today we're speaking about utilizing data in your promo management. A bit more details about our agenda. So as I mentioned, we will discuss a few topics about data adoption. I will share a bit insight about a few researches that we conducted. Then we will talk about data in trade promotion operations and what value is hidden there. And at the final part, I will present the concept of so-called Trade Navigator. It's our concept that we prepared here internally for you. Just a few words about myself. I am a delivery director here at Yalantis. My key responsibility is running a vertical for artificial intelligence and data excellence here in the company. And I've been working here for more than 6 years. And throughout those years, I was involved in various projects and programs in different domains, such as manufacturing, fintech, and a few more. But less about myself, more about what we can bring to you and to your businesses. And I think the good question to start our discussion today would be essentially what FMCG players should start with when they question in themselves what they can use their data for. Because I'm pretty sure that as long as you're here and the question of why should data should be used is already answered. So then the next logical question would be what place, like what department is a good place to start with. And in my humble opinion, it's definitely sales and marketing. Because FMCG as a business industry, as a domain, is super oriented on sales. Essentially, any company is oriented on sales, but here there is a huge dependency on customer demand, because we all know that if a particular quarter isn't that successful as it could be, then there are some issues with supermarkets networks that you can be just beaten out of shelves, and all of those unexpected like issues that hopefully happens not with you but with other guys, but we all know how it works. So the answer sales and marketing here is just because the ROI or for investing and the values that you can bring out of those data initiatives here will be the highest. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't really invest into building some data insight out of your stock data or your logistics optimization of supply chain, definitely not. But if you are at the really early stage or you're looking for capacity or potential for optimizing, definitely sales and marketing is a good place because based on our experience, based on the previous projects, the level of value from that parts is the highest here. All of my insights that I will be sharing today are not just based on our internal vision or like it's not just guesswork, because recently we conducted research. It's quite an often approach and practice for us as a company that if we feel that we lack some context, we quite easily could approach to a variety of businesses in related domain or topic or industry. And that's exactly what we did here, because we wanted to understand how the situation looks from the other side and what are the challenges that companies face in their operations, and particularly in sales and marketing, and even more particularly in trade promotion operations in the field. So to do that, we approached 6 companies. Mostly they all operate in the Eastern Europe, and they so-called mid-size, at least that's how we assess them. By mid-size means that their size sits somewhere between 300 and 1,000 of full-time employees. So that there high chance that their key account management team is more than 10 people, because that's where the in our hypothesis was that from that scale, teams already start to suffer from manual operations, and the collected data could be really a good solution for them once it's properly optimized and properly monetized. But when I say collected data, definitely it's more relevant for companies who have some track record and who have been on the market for quite some time. So our threshold was that those companies should be established prior to 2005, which means that at least 15 years or almost 20 years they are already on the market. And for us, like it's a good sign that they been doing quite well, and they collected some historical records of their sales, of their operations for that period. Those companies, as I mentioned, one of them is Biosphere. It's one of the largest Eastern European producer of FMCG products, as well as Strauss, also food producer, particularly coffee and coffee products in the Eastern European market, but not only. Obviously, big respect to those companies, and any specific data about their operations won't be shared here, and all of the sensitive data is under the NDA. While speaking with those companies, we touched a variety of different topics and areas of their running marketing and sales, and particularly we wanted to understand how the trade promotion operations like function, and whether there are some potential for optimization. And indeed, there are huge potential for optimization, because as we learned, the biggest half of them not only don't use the historical data in their operations, but even more, they have a lot of manual operations. So any operation itself, or data insight, or planning of particular promo, everything, or like the biggest part of it is done manually. And even more, some tools that could be helpful for them, they exist, but on the other hand, they are different, and there are no automatic data exchange among those tools, which means that for marketing team, there are huge overhead of manual operations that they have to spend, like based on our estimation, at least 6 hours per week for maintaining those operations manually, exchanging data, preparing the promotion calendars, extracting data from one source to another and importing to another source from Excel to Power BI, and so on and so forth. And for different parts of the operations, different tools are used, which again introduce the huge amount of manual overhead. As a result, those companies, our respondents mentioned that those predictions that they are came up with are not really solid, and in Souls they don't quite rely on those predictions. And if it's some horizon longer than half a year, they confirm that level of certainty for such prediction made is super low, meaning that it's always kind of a guesswork or like a bet rather than a predicted result for the operations. And while understanding this issue and while discussing, having a conversation with these companies, we've been quite surprised, but at the same time, it was logical, because when we were preparing for conducting those interviews, we realized that among other industries, retail manufacturing have one of the lowest rates of data adoption among others. For example, fintech or healthcare, that index is much higher. This information is open, it's based on the Statista reports. Just happy to share the links afterwards so you can check yourself. But there could be different factors that impact the level of adoption, but it's fact that comparing others, that index is super low. I think one of the largest factors that impacts, just for our internal reference, it's compliance, meaning that such domains as fintech or healthcare, they should really operate securely in a highly regulated domains, while retail, its nature, retail's nature is more oriented on sales and less regulated. That's why the impact of that isn't that huge, isn't that big. Nonetheless, it's the fact, and having this in mind, it became quite clear why we received, or why we proved our hypothesis about low usage of historical data in such companies, as well as the huge amount of manual operations in FMCG industry in the main. And that's critical. It's critical because if we look at other research from our colleagues, we could find out that any AI initiatives in its nature lays on the data quality and data preparations the most, because AI as an effort in the essentially isn't that difficult, but rather preparation of qualified enough data sources, of well-established data governance framework. That's what makes difference, and that's what makes value, because the more qualified data sources, the more fulfilled data you have in your disposal, the more accurate and well-defined results out of your AI project you can expect. So essentially, it comes that if you take any AI initiatives, it's that effort about essentially adopting the AI itself, and it's that effort about preparing the solid data foundation for running that project. And that's the key that I wanted for everyone to understand, because whenever you consider adoption of any AI initiatives, the first question you should ask yourself: how qualified is your data sources, and how sure you are in the quality of it? And then after that, you can actually plan any data project. Because if you take it in a different angle of more scientific approach, any AI or like a large language model or data science project lays on its data foundation the data foundation, which consists of properly established operations for ETL, which consists of proper data governance, which ensures that you have relevant data stored in your data sources, and you operate with that exact necessary information for your project, and that you have all of the use cases or like sources covered with that relevant data in your database. Won't go super deep in the technical details. It's something that I'm really happy to discuss afterwards. And if you have some questions, please feel free to drop them in a comment section or approach us separately through our contacts, also attached in the invitation. But I think a really good example of successful adoption of data culture and hence AI is based on our cooperation with US-based meat and meat products company. They had big change in their executives team, and the new person, Chief Information Officer, came in place. And while he was onboarding in the company and having his time with the team, he realized that his previous experience from other domains could be really beneficial for that company in terms of adoption of data and like building, fostering the data culture. But some significant changes should happen in their approach for data core, and that was the good starting point for them. Really strong decision of them. They spent approximately half a year only for refactoring and updating and preparing their data foundation for further expansion in new regions and adoption of new technologies. They updated all of the SQL bases. They refined data governance frameworks in the company. They described all of the business processes and artifacts to make them up to date and aligned with actual processes that they have in the company. And only once that happened, once they received qualified enough data lake with defined business processes and data used or like required to be used within each of the processes, they after that started adoption of modern approaches and modern tools with their team, such as prediction of AI promotions, AI predicted promotions, and many more. I will be happy to also discuss this case study in detail and just not to overwhelm you with some extra details of their partnership. But if you have some questions, again, happy to see in a comment. But speaking about that particular case and in general, our recommendation for what to start your transformation when it comes to data, and particularly when it comes to optimizing your promo and your sales and marketing with data, really the smartest approach will be to start with your data strategy, putting it in place, because that's a super comprehensive approach, like wise approach of you to start from analyzing your business objectives and goals. Like once you understand what exactly do you want to achieve, whether you want to expand to new regions or whether you want to analyze your current customers and analyze your client better and understand like what they appreciate you for, and stop playing that guesswork. That's could be a good point or like step to start with, because essentially data strategy regulates how and what for you use data. So understanding this, you can then put in place some data architecture and some roadmap for implementing innovation and running that change. And again, based on our experience, quite often what I started from sales and marketing is in 90% the first starting point of any data adoption. We internally accumulated that experience and just decompose it in these 6 steps data strategy building framework. Just happy to share it afterwards so you can use, or otherwise make it print screen. And based on that, we also came up with our Trade Navigator. Essentially, it's an accelerator for adoption data in FMCG companies that gathers all of our experience from past projects, because more or less problems that we face from company to company or from customer to customers are similar, and responses could be also similar. The only difference is data sources are different, but the rest part of UI and tools and operations, they quite similar from customer to customer. So what we made, or what we built, it's accelerator for unified tool that we call Trade Navigator, that allows to bring both data insight in place and some automation for trade promotion operations in place, for simplifying of operations such as creating trade promotion calendar, budgeting your promotion, price formation for your next promo, and even more, we built some AI-powered models that suggest or simplify that process. I will present that tool just in a few minutes, but a few more necessary points about how we worked on that accelerators and what assumptions we made while working on that. While analyzing our partnership, we noticed that pretty much every company's trade promotion operations could be described or like gathered in 5 steps that are quite repeated, that you can see on the screen now, and taken in the assumption that that's exact order happens in the majority of companies, we worked on our response for those steps, and how the technology could address and simplify that exceeded manual effort that we discussed earlier before. Also, we decomposed which departments are involved in, like, let's say, unified approach in a company. And obviously notice that it's not only marketing and sales, which was quite expected, but also finance and supply chain. So our attempt was also to bring some value and like gather the business process within one tool. And there are a few more slides with some challenges, the way we address them, but I think it will be much more convenient for you to grasp it out from the demo time. So I will just switch to my sharing, and for demo purpose, I have it in Figma, but as I mentioned, this whole part is already built. The UI and the logic, like the engine of the system is already developed, and the only remaining part for us to deliver this in place would be plugging in data sources and obviously some effort for preparing those sources to be integrated with the system. You might be asking, like, what's the time frame and how much would it save, would it take for you to accommodate? Starting from 4 to 6 weeks usually takes for creating the first MVP. But I think I'm quite fast with presentation. Let me actually present the tool itself, and then we can discuss this a bit more in details. So it all starts with data insight page. As I mentioned, it's kind of accelerator, and any graph or any section here is highly customizable, and depending on your use case or type of your business, it could be adjusted. Here, particularly in this one, you can see our vision for food producers. It could be any product that is sold in pounds or in kilograms or in tons. But the thing is highly customizable. And here in the section, we could have different indexes or like parameters that you tracked while you're running your sales and promos. And additionally here, we could add not only comparison with previous quarter or like previous period, but also KPIs could be added here, and you can in the real time track how you perform towards your expected KPIs in the real time. Then here another part is analysis for your channels of distribution. It's a super necessary part as per our research that gives you an understanding of your most like powerful channels or like partnerships you have in your sales, and that gives you an insight where to invest even more to potentially expand your partnerships, or vice versa. If some partnerships are not that efficient, it's also some insight that you can get out of this graph, and possibly take some business decision for pausing or like restructuring the partnership if it doesn't really work for your company. Again, the whole thing is customizable. We wanted to make this experience of Sell BI. So marketing team could operate with like a smaller period of time, while executives could grasp some insight for wider, like quarterly or yearly based periods, and all data could be relevant and governed for specific stakeholders' needs. The next one is analysis of price based on the period again as well. So here it's quite often happens that so-called product cannibalism could happen in the companies while they actively invest in their promos. Essentially, when specific promo for this product one could severely impact sales and pricing for product two, and that's a specific like aim we created this graph for. Again, you can play here with types and categories of products as well as periods, and get some understanding on how specific product or category performs within the time. And even more, if you're not sure about correlation of season or seasonal correlation of sales of your products, that's also the place where you can get this insight from, and understand whether you have some dependency in sales in the timeline, and possibly be more prepared or like equipped with that knowledge for upcoming period, right? The most obvious example is like ice cream sales. You can just analyze the sales data from the previous year and be more prepared for the upcoming one, and possibly get some additional orders in stock, and possibly request some additional supplies. Here we have analysis of structural price formations as well, also customizable as the rest of the page. The aim of this one is actually understanding of how sales performed in a particular period. Here we have structure of promo-driven and organic sales. Everything just for reference, what here in yellow, it's sales that are brought from promotions, as well as green, it's organic sales. So the aim of this one is to understand the impact of your promotion effort, and whether there are some trends or like anomalies when your sales happened like here, for example, were super effective and high, but no precise promotion effort happened here. So it's a source of additional research and analysis for your team to understand what exactly happened in the period, so that that promotion or like that sales rate was that high. And a few more of additional tables, which are more like low level for marketing teams and historical data on your sales performance, which also could be handy in more like low level analysis and precise insight for your marketing team. So the main goal of this page or like this section was providing some relevant data insight for not only marketing team, but for wider audience, such as executives and finance or any other departments. And as I mentioned, if you don't see a specific graph here, or you feel that for your particular domain, some data could be also added, that's definitely possible. And as I mentioned, this product is already like developed as a flexible data platform. So while running the discovery, we can also add it here and cover your specific need. Then let's move forward to more interesting part, at least in my opinion. It's actually automation for promotion operations. Here, the most valuable block would be this trade calendar, because when we had those interviews that I mentioned earlier, we noticed that for the majority of companies, they still have it done in Excel spreadsheets, which means that all of the planning effort and maintaining and aligning of promotions that done manually. And I think this really powerful answer and like vision on how this could be automated. And value of this is that the whole creation and running of this is partially automated, as well as some good amount of AI prediction is brought in place. So here you can see your create promo. So whenever you fill here all of the necessary data about your products that you want to add in your promo, as well as specify here prices like expected for that precise product or for the whole category, it's also possible. We built an AI-powered prediction model that suggests what change will it make having that specific promo with predefined parameters in place. So your marketing team could get really insight on whether it will be sufficient promo, or like effective promo or not. You might be asking like, what kind of data do we need for the platform to run that prediction? Essentially, the best scenario, or like the most relevant prediction, starts from at least 5-year period of like historical data in place, and it's quite often happens that this data is not really structured or not in a good quality, and that's what I mentioned. So we analyzed and understood that mostly this part is more or less similar from companies, from company to company, while preparation is super unique flow and optimization and defining those data sources and preparing them in the proper quality is that what makes each partnership for us unique. Nonetheless, once this part is completed and we have the proper data sources uploaded, we can like the model is built in that way that any other new added promo to the platform would make the prediction even more concrete and even more certain, right? Because the data sources amount is, or like amount of data being stored in the platform is expanded. So hence, the quality of prediction is also became more certain and certain. Here, as the whole concept, I'm also happy to share with you afterwards, so you can play with it. What's also necessary to mention here is that we added the budgeting section, although we understand that from company to company that process of allocating a budget is different. It might be quarterly based budget, or it could be channel based budget. We really acknowledge that and are prepared for adopting this, but we wanted to combine those two parts of budgeting and promo creation in one place. So that's our vision. And let's return for a sec here, because obviously once that promo is created, approved, and calculated, it will be displayed here on the calendar. But we also understand that not all of the promos should be created, and that there are some amount of discovery or planning is in place. And for that, we also added ROI calculator. That's a tool that kind of simplified version of what you just saw on the previous screens, so that your marketing team could kind of make a play and kind of guesswork for future promos, and just defined what the next promo could look like and what products could be part of it. And here again, they could add some categories or products, set some parameters for discount, and get some prediction based on the model that I just presented a couple of minutes before. Then additional here, we added a few of relevant statistics and graphs for particularly promo-related performance. So all of the finished promos are stored here, so your team could get an understanding of them out from this section, and possibly made a retrospective or like lessons learned based on this data, and some revenue analysis for past period. So that's the so-called MVP version of our product, and we believe that having this in place could be really a good starting point of your adoption of data in your sales and marketing activities, like operations, because this tool, we wanted it to be a combination of both like data insight and some actionable data graphs and metrics in place, as well as some reasonable automation of trade promotion operations that are at the same time highly customizable, meaning that those actions such as budgeting or approvals could be tailored on and adjusted per your use case, but still some effort is already passed, and that could be much faster adoption of this tool comparing to building everything from scratch. At this section, I think my presentation of this part is already completed, unless you have some questions. So let me just stop sharing my screen, and if you have some questions and some parts isn't quite clear, please drop your questions in the comments, and I will be happy to answer them. Unless no questions, I'm also available via links we have attached in your invitation, and feel free to drop some questions afterward there. Happy to schedule additional session afterward, after our session is completed. Right, then expecting for your questions, if there are some. Cool. Good. Then at this stage, thank you very much for your time. First of all, I hope that was a valuable overview and that was valuable insight which I've shared today for you. And we actively working on our research and development initiatives. And I really hope that it's not our first and last meeting, but rather we can meet on the other sessions in the future. So stay connected to our LinkedIn pages and newsletter, and please expect new, even more powerful insight from us. Because at Yalantis, we really value adoption of technology and bringing insight based on data and artificial intelligence to your business. Thank you very much. I will see you next one, and take care. Bye-bye.